Hello everyone, it's Tammy, and today I want to show you how to make this little cute card set. And it has a little crate. Isn't that adorable? And then a little 3x3 card set that you can use for whatever, gift tags or birthday cards or whatever. And then we went ahead and made envelopes. I went ahead and made envelopes to go with this, so I can teach you guys how to do that as well. So there are a few tools that you're going to need to make this card or this series, but isn't this cute? And you can purchase 3x3 envelopes too if you don't have an envelope maker or you don't feel like making envelopes or whatever. But I'm going to show you how to use it, how to do it with tools that you can purchase through Stampin' Up, since that's what I sell. And you can shop at my Stampin' Up site 24/7, and the link is down below. And you can make cute little things like this. And this one I made with our new in color Berry Burst. The one I'm going to make for you guys is going to be using the in color Fresh Fig. So let's go ahead and get started. I just wanted to show you what it's going to look like. So I don't know if I wanted to use, we have a couple new designer series papers, and I left these out because I haven't remembered their names yet, but this is Wood Textures, which is what I used for the first one, and I thought that these are amazing for crates. I thought these are just really perfect. But then I saw these when I was searching my stuff, and this is the Color Theory Designer Series pack. And look, you can do really cute little colors with this as well. So the crate could be really cute using this too. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the wood just because that happens to be my favorite. But you can use whatever you want, and it doesn't really even matter which wood I pick. So I'm just going to grab one because I think they're all adorable. I'm going to put these away. I'm just beginning to be able to play with all of my new stuff, so I haven't even put my die cut on magnets yet. So we're using the Wood Words stamp set. We're also going to be using the Wood Crate Framelits. This is a bundle, so you can purchase these together for 10% off. So I haven't even put this on my magnet yet, but I will. I just wanted you guys to see it because we're going to use it anyway today. So it's going to look like this. We're also going to use Whisper White, and I've already stamped my chicken from this stamp set onto here because for some reason I wasn't going to do this on camera, and then I thought, you know what, silly, I should do this because this is really cute. But I made the first one just to make sure I knew how to do it and could figure it out because I wasn't sure about the crate, but it is super easy, and I figured out a way that you can make the crate with just one 6x6 piece of paper, so that's kind of neat. And then you're also going to have some Whisper White. Now this is actually leftover from my first set, so I'm not even going to use this. I will show you using fresh Whisper White so that you'll see what we have left over. So that's what we're going to use. So you need 2 pieces of Whisper White for this. And you also need 1.5 12x12 sheets. And I'm using the Designer Series paper. This is our new Designer Series paper that comes in all of the in colors, and this is called Fresh Florals Designer Series paper, and it's double-sided, and it is truly lovely. I am loving it. And then I am also using my Stampin' Scrub, my 3x3 block, and my Stampin' Mist. And how this works is you stamp your cleaning spray, the Stampin' Mist, onto one side. This is the wet side. This is my dry side. When I'm cleaning my rubber stamps, I clean it on the wet side, then I dry it on the dry side. That way I know I'm putting them away clean and they are ready for the next use, and they will last me a long time. I am also going to use the Misty because this makes it easy for me when I am doing multiple cards. So with the 6 cards that are going into the crate, I'm going to use this. This is an optional. You don't have to have this. It just makes life a little bit easier if you do multiple stamping. So I have that. That is the only thing that is not sold by Stampin' Up. Everything else that we're using today, I believe you can purchase through Stampin' Up. If you want to purchase the Misty, I bought mine from mysweetpetunia.com. They have other brands now as well, but when I got it, that was the only one. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and let's cut some paper. I'm going to cut this down so that I can get 6x3 pieces of paper, and I need 6 of those because I'm going to be making a total of 6 cards. So you can cut 2 pieces of paper in here. It's sometimes not as easy as you'd want it to be because this paper is very nice, but this cutter is also very nice. So if you line this up at 6 inches, you can cut right through it as long as you push a little hard with your blade. And then I'm going to line it up at 3 inches. And I'm going to do my scorer so that now I have a nice score line. And it does go through to both sides. It's a little bit lighter on the second side, but it does go through at least enough that you can use your bone folder. So now I'm going to cut it again at 3 inches. And then 3 inches. And this is giving us 3 by 3 final cards. And since each one of these has 2, this is 2, 4, 6, which is exactly how many I want for my crate. And then I have this left over in my Whisper White that I can use either for cutting or stamping or whatever I feel like I would like to use it for, I can use that for. I'm not going to cut the envelopes yet, but we'll cut those after a little bit. I'll put those up here. I think I'll just put them right there. We'll cut those in a little minute, and we will be using the envelope maker that is also through Stampin' Up. But let's go ahead and get to stamping. So I have already cut out my little chicks. That's there. I'm going to need to die cut those in a minute, and I also want to stamp on each card. I want to put this little flower. So I'll take that out, and this is where my Misty comes in handy. Because I want this to be positioned on the same place on each card. I'm placing my card in here. And then I will place this however I want it on my card. Something like that. Oops, I moved it. Something like that. So then what I can do is I can take my fresh fig, which is a really pretty color, ink up my beautiful flowers, and stamp them down. And then I'm ready for the next one. Do the same thing. I don't have to position my stamp anymore. I know that it's where it needs to be. I just have to put my card in. So it saves a bunch of time, in my opinion, from having to position and make sure you know where you have everything, because it's already positioned for you. You can just stamp away. You know what I sometimes do, which I probably shouldn't show you guys because this isn't proper, but I sometimes will put more than one piece of paper on here. Stamp. Pull the top one off. Go to the next one. I'm sure that that is not recommended, but it is efficient. So now my stamping for that is done. I'm going to take this, I'm putting it in my wet spot, and I'm going to take my block now and just clean it and then dry it. And there we go. We have a fresh, clean stamp. But you can see it doesn't fit on here either. So, I mean, you could still make it work sometimes, but what did I do with my stamp set? Here it is. There might be one more stamping thing that we do that I didn't do for the other one, but I think I'm going to do it for this one. So I'm probably going to stamp. Let's just go ahead and do it. We're going to take one of these scraps, and I'm going to stamp For You. So these rubber stamps come with a little piece of white lining at the back. You just take that off and then it will stick on your block. Simple as that. I really do like this color. Fresh Fig. It's like a dark raisin. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So now I think we're ready to die cut. So we're going to die cut all of these and this. So I have my die cuts ready. I'm going to move this to the side. I'm going to bring up my Big Shot. And let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to take the For You, and I'm going to take the little tab that came with my die cuts, and I'm going to put that right in here. So I'm kind of centering my For You. If you wanted to use a little piece of washi tape or post-it tape to hold your die in place, you could. I just don't usually do that. So there we use our little tab. I live dangerously. Then we're going to take the chicken and we're going to cut out each one of these. And see how if you had a piece of post-it, you could put it on there just to make sure that that doesn't move, that the die doesn't move over the paper, but I don't really mind. And just so some of you know, someone told me that people get confused with this sometimes, but this is called a die, and this is called a die cut. So once you've cut something out with the die, it's now a die cut. Lots of times, I do it too, we refer to this as a die cut. It's not a die cut, it's a die cutter, but it's really just a die is what you call this. So these are called thinlets, or what do we call these here? We call them framelit dies, but it's, people refer to them the same way. So if you hear that, just know that technically a die cut is the piece of paper that it leaves behind, and the die is what cuts, but lots of times people will say this is a die cut, and I do it too. I don't know why, it's just what comes out. That one I made a little light, so I don't know, I'm still going to use it. I wasn't sure if I stamped another one or not. I like the rustic way it looks, so it doesn't really matter to me. And then actually when we're finished with all the die cutting and we have the dies cut out with the die, you're kind of left with a stencil too in some cases. Some dies make a really cute stencil like that. I think you could still probably tell it was a rooster, maybe. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't know, but some of them make really cute stencils. Like if you did a heart or a tab, you could use that then as a stencil if you wanted to. And this Big Shot makes it so easy to cut these out. It's no effort at all. It's a little time consuming, especially when you're cutting out 6 of the same thing because you only have 1 die to cut out all of them. But it's really not a big deal. And if you wanted to change it up and use, I don't know, the rooster on one and the moon on one and the star on one and the heart on one, you could cut all of those out at the same time. You could just put the dies next to each other on your paper and cut all of them out. So there was our stencil if you wanted to use that. Now we're going to get to the crate. And I have not watched anyone else do this, so if you watch other people do it and they do it a different way, fabulous. Now you have 2 ways. So what I like to do, what I learned that I could do, is I could put this on the very edge, top and bottom of my 6x6 piece of paper. So I'm lining it up. So it'll still cut out, but it's lined up. And then I'm just going to cut it out. And it will crack and sound awful, like, oh no, it's not supposed to do that. It is. And I always go forwards and backwards. And then take this one out. Be sure to remove the die cut. And I'm going to remove these extra pieces that it leaves behind. Throw those away. And then so this is how close I had it to the edge. I'm just going to rip that off. I'm going to turn this around. Now I need to make sure that this ends up being the bottom. That's the part that I can slack on a little bit. I want to make sure I have as much of the bottom as possible, but I need the sides and the front, or the side and the back, whichever you decide this part is. So make sure that you have all of this in. So again, I lined it up at the bottom with this as being my bottom part of the crate. That's the part that has a little bit that's not going to be cut out. Hopefully that makes sense since you can see it. And I know that sounds awful, but I promise you it's just perfectly normal. That's how the die cuts work. So then I have this again. Now, this is, you could use this as trash, or if you wanted to make a tab using this, your tab die will fit right on it, and you can use that for a tab as well. See how that would work really nicely? If you wanted to do it that way, you certainly could. Now I think we are finished die cutting. So I'm going to put my die cut away. I do like to put these away immediately because if not, they can get lost. They're just little pieces of metal. Some of the pieces are larger than others, but sometimes they're really tiny, and I would hate for you guys to lose them. I personally prefer to store these on a magnet than on this paper, and I will do that. I just haven't gotten to do that with all my new stuff. I was too excited. I wanted to play. Alright, so let me teach you how to fold this and make it into a cute little crate. And you could use either side. Gosh, that's a good question. Which side do I want to use? I think I might use the darker side. So I'm going to fold it so that the darker side is out. And there's already score lines. You can barely see them, but they're there. And if you start to fold it, you'll see. And then there's these 2 little tabs that you can't forget about either. And that's the one that has this little piece cut out. Again, it's not going to hurt anything. Doing the same thing with this one. And I use a bone folder to make sure that my folds are very crisp and perfectly sized. That's one thing about using a die. You make sure that your pieces are exactly, they're exactly the same every time. Okay, so see how this is coming together? This is going to be half of the crate, and that's going to be the other half of the crate. So I'm going to use our fine line glue pen, or fine tip glue pen. And I'm just going to open this up. And the first thing I'm going to do is line up the base to the base. And I'm going to put this messed up part on the inside because no one will ever be able to tell that that's what happened. When you look at the bottom, it will look good. The only time you'll be able to tell is if you look at from the top, you'll see that little rectangle cut out right there. And honestly, I don't know anybody that would look that hard. So I'm just going to put glue on all of the edges and some in the middle. And I'm going to take this and glue it right on top of the crate. And you want to make sure that you have it, I'm not doing a very good job, there we go. I want to make sure that I have this tab lined up at the end because they fit together. There you go. Perfect, perfect. And once you've gotten that done, the hardest part is over, I promise. Now what I like to do is I like to turn these tabs over, and I do both of these at the same time. I glue them up, and then I fold this over, and I bring this piece in line with the side, or with the front, I guess I should call it. And it doesn't need to be held there for very long because it's pretty quick drying glue. And then I bring this side up and line this up with the edge. And as long as you've got the bottom lined up, these guys will line up perfectly. And then, so now I'm left with this, and I do the same thing. I put glue on my bottom tab and on my side tab, and then I bring this over and make sure that you're lining it up at the bottom and the side, and then just make sure your glue sticks. And you don't want to line it up at the top because the handles stick out just a little bit. So those are supposed to be a little higher. So you don't want to line it up at the top because then it'll be all wonky and it won't be a rectangular box. It'll be a mess. Isn't that great? Isn't that cute? Your little crate is already done. That's all there is to it. So now for the cards. These are as easy as pie too. You've already stamped. Score it on the score line and then crisp it up with your bone folder. Take a dimensional. Put it on the rooster's tail. And then put your rooster on the corner. Isn't that adorable? And we do this 6 times because we have 6 cards, and then we'll move on to the envelopes. I have some thank you cards I need to send, and I have some happy mail I need to send, and I think that this is going to be some of the happy mail that I send. I think if I sent this to someone as a gift, I think that that would be nice. I hope that they think so too. And I think I would mail decently, I hope. So our cards are all in there. So now it is time for the envelopes. So we pull this away, throw those in the trash. I'm going to get out our envelope maker. Oh, first I need to cut the paper. And first I need a little sip of my drink. Oh, well, no, I should show you on this. So we want 3 by 3 envelopes. The card size is 3 by 3. So this says we need our paper size 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. All right. So I have 2 pieces of 12 by 12. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut it to 6 by 6 because I'll tell you why. Sometimes that can be confusing. This leaves, so we have 2 pieces of 12 by 12. I need to make 6 envelopes. Yes. So that means that I need that this much will make 6 envelopes, and I'll have an extra sheet. So I don't want to cut it down. I like 6 by 6 is a good size to have as a scrap. So I'm going to cut it at 6 by 6 so we'll have a decent scrap over here. And then I'm going to work with these and cut these at 5 1/4. Hopefully that makes sense. I could have cut it at 5 1/4 and just used that part as the scrap, but from my experience, if it's not already cut at a 6 by 6 and it kind of looks like a 6 by 6, I have used it thinking it's a 6 by 6 and it's not, and then I get myself in trouble because my dimensions are wrong because I assumed it was a 6 by 6 already and it wasn't. So that's why I do it that way. Then I'm going to cut this to 5 1/4. So I have, that's 3. And then I'm going to cut this at 5 1/4 because I have 3 layers tall. And then this is left over as well. So I have 6 squares now that are all 5 1/4. Then I'm going to take my envelope punch and it says 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and then it says the score line needs to be at 2 5/8. So if you guys don't know how to use this, I'll kind of give you a quick run, but if you have this, I'm sure you know how to use it. I like to use the score that comes with it just because I'm weird like that. So 2 5/8, I move it to 2 5/8. This is the only time you measure, and you're only measuring it this one time, and it tells you the first cut, or the first one should be 2 5/8. So you move the paper to 2 5/8, you punch it, you score it, and now it doesn't matter what the size is, but I want to line this score line up, and I can't see it very well. I want to line this score line up with this little tab that sticks out, and then I can punch it, and then I can score it, and move it again, and do the same exact thing. And sometimes with the pattern paper, you'll see that it's easier to see the score line on one side rather than another. And if that's the case, just turn it over. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Oh, I don't think I punched this one. There we go. So then that's what it's going to look like when you're first finished. Again, I'm going to go to 2 5/8 with this one. Oh, here, let me just start with this side. 2 5/8. Punch it, score it. Then I'm not worrying about what this lines up to be. It does not matter. I'm using this to line up my score line. Punch it. Sorry, my daughter called me, and she's going to be over soon, so I don't know where I left off, but we just punched and scored, punched and scored. Punched and scored. So I think I might, since this is the same process, I think I'm going to show you how to make an envelope since she's coming over. I don't want to take up everybody's time. Now, for the envelopes, to make them, like to finish them, if you want them to be perfect, like, I don't know, if you want this look, you can punch to round the envelope too. See how that rounds it? I only do it on 2, and I'll show you why. Because those are the only 2 that you're going to be able to see with this size envelope. Other envelopes, might be different, but with this one, I found out if you just did the two, it works fine. So then I go ahead and take my bone folder, and I fold in the two that I did not punch, did not round the edge. So these are the pointy ones. Bring those in and use my bone folder. I'm going to take a little piece of glue, or a little bit of glue, put it here, fold that down. Then I'm going to take one of the edges and glue the edge and fold that up, and then use my bone folder. Then the other one I'm just going to fold down, and then this creates the envelope, and your card should perfectly fit in there just like that. Isn't that cute? So then what I did is I just put all the envelopes behind all of the cards. And so the envelopes, because this designer series paper is double-sided, I would do one envelope with this side out, and then I'd do the next envelope with this side out to make all 6 of my envelopes. And then when I'm done with that, I will bring you back and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so once you've made all the envelopes, be sure to leave one side so it's open so that they can put their card in there. I'm saying that from experience. And then I'm just trying to put the different designs. See how I used the front and the back, and then the front and the back. And then I used the front and the back again of this one. So there's 2 each of this one, and this one. Hope I'm making sense. So I just put those 2 in the front and those 2 in the back. And then our little gift is complete. Isn't that adorable? Now if you wanted to put a little chicken or something on the front of here, you can. But what I'm going to do with this one, I think. Now this ribbon is, oh, you know what would be pretty? That copper ribbon from Stampin' Up! Would be even better. What did I do with that? I got some really pretty copper ribbon. Here it is. From Stampin' Up! Couldn't remember what I did with it. This is new in the new catalog as well. We can wrap this around, and I'm going to cut it off about here. And then I'm just going to stick this on here, I think, if I can. Maybe not that end, it's kind of frayed. This end looks a little easier. Get in there. So there, now it says for you, and it's just adorable. I think that's super cute. If you wanted to, you could also put a little tie around the cards to help hold them together so that they won't flip and flop. I'll probably do that. I might use this lace for that. I think I will. I think what I'm going to do is I'll show you something. I've never done this before, but this looks like it should work. I'm going to take that and I'm going to take my ATG gun glue. Oh my goodness, it's stuck to me. Stuck to me, stuck to me. And I'm just peeling it right off of here, aren't I? I didn't mean to do that. Okay, well, forget that. I don't have any glue on here. Try it again. Put some ATG glue on the end of your ribbon. We're going to give this a whirl. Taking my cards and my envelopes together, I'm going to take this to the back. I don't want it to be too tight, but I don't want it to be too loose, and I'm just going to tack this down like that. So that is easily removable by the recipient. And then there we go. And I don't know if this ribbon will, I don't know if that ATG will hold it. It doesn't look like it will. So you could put a little glue and be done. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.